and welcome to A Seat at the Table. I'm your host, State Representative Sarah Anthony, and I have the privilege of representing Michigan's 68th House District, which includes the city of Lansing and Lansing Township. A Seat at the Table is a chance to sit down and talk about today's hot topics in state government and highlight the great things happening in the city of Lansing. As your state representative, I want to make sure that your state government is open and it's accessible to everyone. I hope this show will leave you feeling a little more connected and informed about what's happening at the Capitol, as well as in our capital city. Today, I am joined by two team members of Capital Area Michigan Works. There are 16 Michigan Works agencies across the state. Michigan Works is focused on preparing individuals for the workforce and connecting employers with the tools they need to fill open positions with qualified individuals. We are so lucky to have such an amazing Michigan Works chapter right here in Lansing. Capital Area Michigan Works offers talent development and employment resources for the entire Tri-County region, and I am excited for our guests to highlight some of the amazing things that are happening right here in our community. Our first guest today is Edythe Copeland. She is the Chief Executive Officer at the Capital Area Michigan Works. And later we'll hear from Luke Schroeder, the organization's new Americans Navigator. Edythe, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This is a treat. So I have known Edythe for a number of years. As a county commissioner, I served on the board, on the administrative board, and I got a chance to work really closely with you, and I've always admired your leadership. So just thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. It's an honor for me, so I really appreciate you asking me to come in.
So it seems like I always have, as guests, kind of these history makers, and even quiet history makers. But I think word on the street is that you are not only the first woman in this role, but also the first African American.
Yes, that I am. Yes, I am.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And, I always thank my board because, they were the ones that ultimately had to make the decision to hire me. And it's been a beautiful ride for the last 5 years now. That time goes by so fast. It's been a beautiful experience.
Well, under your leadership, I know that our community has seen a lot of innovation at Michigan Works, and so I just admire your leadership. And speaking of your leadership, I know there's some folks who may be just interested in your professional journey. So how did you get here? How did you become our CEO?
Well, actually, I started out working in the Flint School District. I literally ran programs, started as a secretary and worked my way up to a project manager, to a project facilitator, where I oversaw all the youth programs for at-risk youth there at the Flint School District. So I had 13 years there. And then for a year, I actually ran my own program for teen parents that had dropped out of school. And so I did that for a year, and then after that, I decided that I needed to just kind of broaden my horizons. I was finishing up my master's degree, and the opportunity came up to come to work for Capital Area Michigan Works. Well, back then it was not called Capital Area Michigan Works, but the agency. And again, I started out as a planner, and then was promoted to Chief Operating Officer, and then in 2012 promoted to President and Chief Operating Officer, and then in 2013 I became CEO.
That's amazing. That's a great journey.
It is a great journey, and I'm very thankful for all of those that, really led the way for me to be in the position that I'm at today. And my goal is to, you always want to make an agency better than it was when you left, and hopefully to be able to touch lives of folks that are looking for employment and or businesses that really need just some additional assistance in getting the folks that they need.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we know that you have your column on a weekly basis in the Lansing State Journal, but for folks who don't know or aren't familiar with Michigan Works, at its core, what does Michigan Works do? What does the Capital Area Michigan Works do?
So at Capital Area Michigan Works, I mean, we are a vast and complex network, as you know. But really, we are a network of resources for people and businesses. For job seekers, our goal is to let them know about services that are available, as well as letting them know about jobs that are available in the community, and then trying to help bridge that gap between where they are with the skills that they have, to help them be ready for the jobs that we are trying to fill. And then for the employers, our goal is to provide those services. Maybe it's a small business that doesn't have an HR department. We can help them draft a job description. We can help them with labor market information, help them decide what wage to set. And then if they need us to get applications from folks that come in, we can certainly do that. We can do some pre-screening also for them. And so we find ourselves working a lot with small and mid-size, but then we do have relationships with larger companies that may just have their own internal HR departments, so they may not post on what we call the Michigan's Pure Talent Connect. And so we encourage them to post up their positions there also, so that they can get a wider pool of folks that may be looking to come work for their companies. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what are some common misconceptions about CAMWA, as we kind of affectionately call it in this world? Yeah. What are some things that folks would be interested or even surprised to hear?
Well, I think the largest misconception is that we only deal with low-income individuals or individuals with no skills. And while we certainly work with those individuals, we also work with folks that have been laid off from a job, and they may have, whether it's a college degree or whether it's on-the-job training, apprenticeship type skills. So we really run the gamut. I mean, we've worked with everybody from an associate's, bachelor's, masters to even PhD individuals that we've helped because they've either decided they want to go in a different direction, or they worked at a company and the company either laid off or closed, and so they're not ready to retire. And so I think that's probably the biggest misconception that we hear. And folks that do come in with degrees are always surprised when we say to them, well, wait a minute, we can help you. Actually, it may even be easier to get you reemployed, than someone that comes in with no skills at all.
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, I've been in the Michigan Works office, and you see the diversity there. You see all types of folks there. It's a very welcoming environment. I encourage folks at home to visit, to come in and just kind of experience it. It's just, I may just be biased, but it has to be one of the best in the state. So,
well, I feel that way too. And also, Sarah, people I think a lot of times that they have to pay for the services, and or that they have to be eligible for services. And while that is true for certain services, we offer services that are free to the general public. And I always encourage folks to come to our CAMWA Connections, which is an overview of the system there at Capital Area Michigan Works. And then they get to see and hear about all the different partners that we work with. And then we can sit down with them and try to help determine a course for them to follow.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to pivot a little bit and go back to some things that you talked about earlier on, which is, I think, probably an initial, your passion for young people.
Yes.
And, seeing them develop and grow and thrive. And I know that you've brought pieces of that to this position.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about any partnerships that Michigan Works has with local school districts, or ways that you think that we can be doing a better job in preparing young people for the workforce, either through degrees and credentials, skilled trades? What's that marriage look like for young people right now?
So I am really happy about where we are as an agency right now. We have our T3, which is it's our education and workforce and business community and economic development collaborative with so many other partners that are involved. So we work actually in our centers. We actually have Lansing School District that Lansing Community College that actually leases space at our center, so that students that are interested in enrolling in post-secondary can literally come to our center on Cedar Street and do everything they need to do, with the exception of their campus ID. They do have to go to LCC for that, but they can do everything they need to do right there at our center. So being that one-stop shop, I think, is crucial. But also, being the workforce agency, we also want to make sure that we are giving the schools, the educational community, information on labor market data, what occupations are going to be in demand in the next 3 to 5, 10 years even, so that as they're doing their programming, they can be thinking about what classes and curriculums they need to have to prepare those young people for the jobs that are going to be available when they graduate.
That's right. That's right. It just seems so innovative, right? And,
yes.
We talk about a collective impact approach,
yes.
right? In which the business community,
yes.
nonprofits, government kind of all works together to help everyone really succeed. And I know that you're at so many tables.
Yes,
so
yes,
all these different tables.
Because it is crucial. It is so important. And we have the business community at the table with us. We've got business community, you've got your educators, you've got all the other partners, the United Ways and community foundations, MSU. We're all at the table talking about talent, which is, whether it's workforce or whether it's the educational side. So it is really an exciting dynamic to see happening again in the Capital Region.
Awesome. So I know I'm thinking about Sarah fresh out of college, or maybe my younger brothers that maybe didn't go to college but just are looking to plug into the workforce. Where does one start? What's like the big starting place for someone at Michigan Works if they want to get plugged into resources?
So again, I always recommend that they come into one of our 3 centers that we have here in the Tri-County region, but that they come into one of our 3 centers and they take advantage of the we call it Camel Connections, because that will give them an overview of all the services that we provide. And then once they do that, we're happy to sit down with them to talk about, possible paths that they could follow. And it's all about being, whether it's college or career ready, because we know that there are some very great career job opportunities that may not require and do not require a degree. And everybody's not ready to jump out and go to college right away. Okay. So the goal is to get them where they can be self-sufficient. And then maybe on down the road, they will decide that, they are ready to take some additional classes or whatever that may be.
That's right. Well, this has been extremely informative, even for me, even as a former board member. And I always just get so excited about the work that we're doing, and specifically the work that you're doing at Michigan Works. So I just want to thank you. Thank you for the time today. Thank you for your leadership. It means so much to see you in that position, because it's just, you've been doing an amazing job. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So thank you for being on. And again, you can learn more about Capital Area Michigan Works by visiting www.camw.org. So now it's time to take a short break. And when we come back, we will be joined by Luke Schroeder, which is the Capital Area Michigan Works new Americans Navigator. Stay tuned.
If I got to go to college, oh my goodness. I just feel like that's my destiny. You get to make like a supernova of skill or talent or whatever it is. My name is Queen, and I am your dividend.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back to A Seat at the Table. I'm very excited to introduce my next guest, Luke Schroeder, the new Americans Navigator at the Capital Area Michigan Works. Luke, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, has the Capital Area Michigan Works always had this position, or is the new Americans Navigator new?
This is a new role. It's been around for about 6 months. However, there are several other navigators throughout the state that have been around for about a year. So this is a new role that I've jumped into, and it's been an incredible journey thus far.
Awesome, awesome. So specifically, what is this position? What is a new Americans Navigator?
New Americans Navigator specifically helps refugees, immigrants, work-authorized new Americans, basically. Asylees also. These are all people that have come to this country, whether it's through immigration or through being a refugee, and they're looking for work, and they're looking to be part of the workforce.
That's awesome. I know that the system can be intimidating to everyone. So I can only imagine folks who are new to this country, new to this community, and really needing additional services and resources to try to help connect them and really help navigate sometimes really complex systems. So yeah, I'm sure that this is a really valuable asset to our community.
It is. It is. This is one of the more sophisticated cultures in the world, and so to expect somebody who comes from a place where they're not used to all these different levels or these different cultures coming together in one place, we need somebody to help guide them so that they can feel confident in going into a job and removing barriers so that they can succeed at that job.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that just from the limited knowledge that I know about the position is that I think probably the primary focus is helping to connect folks to employment, but you probably don't stop there, right? You probably help them connect to additional resources. Can you talk about other resources that you connect folks to?
Yeah, there are other resources. Employment can be tricky if you don't have childcare, if you don't have adequate housing, if you don't have adequate transportation. So what I try to do is I try to guide these folks to these various through these various obstacles, and try to make it easier so that they can stay employed and keep their job while also being part of the community.
Awesome. That probably takes a lot of compassion, a lot of patience, and also probably being just extremely resourceful, I can imagine.
Yeah. I love these people. I think they provide a lot of creativity. They're incredibly innovative. They're resourceful. I have a story actually that I want to share with you. There was a gentleman that wanted to be an ice cream truck driver, and I was like, man, I don't know. I wanted to try to limit his expectations that he'd be successful at this. I met with a friend, and she said, you should give him the green light, because these people are resourceful. They work hard, and they will make sure that they succeed at that business. And so I gave him the green light, and I said, all right, let's go find out how we get you a loan. And so it was I was really inspired to meet with that friend, and I tried to connect him to that resource, which was a loan to get that ice cream truck and get on the road and start selling ice cream this summer.
It's getting hot.
Yeah.
It's getting hot. I'll look for the ice cream truck for sure.
Yeah.
So you seem to have a real passion for this work. Do you have other experience kind of connecting newcomers in our community or just throughout the state or even, wherever? Do you have any experience in this area?
Yeah, I do. I have a pretty a background that I'm really proud of, actually. Prior to this experience, I was an English teacher at a community college where I met newcomers from all over the world, and they were all students. Prior to that, I worked as a government contractor for the Africa Center for Strategic Studies in Washington, D.C., so I got to know African communities that way. And then prior to that, I lived abroad in France for 2 years. And this has been very impactful because it allows me to understand what these newcomers are going through. When you're trying to figure out how to provide for them and navigate this culture with a language barrier, I can totally relate to that. So I think it was really a great experience, let alone all the people I've met in the Lansing community that are coming from different backgrounds.
That's amazing.
So
That's
yeah.
amazing. And knowing a little bit about you, I know that one thing that you built was an asset map. Right?
That's right.
To kind of talk about, here's all the different assets, because, you know, a lot of times folks will brag that we have all these different resources and no one knows about them.
Right.
No one knows about our different transportation or housing options or
Right.
places folks can get health care and food. And so you've built a kind of significant asset map to kind of connect folks?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. Assets come in and out, and they emerge, and you find out about new assets all the time. So it's still kind of growing, but Lansing has a lot to offer these folks, and I think that having an asset map and something to show them and guide them through finding employment and accessing resources, an asset map's a great tool.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. So many of us, you know, watch the news and we see the different changes in immigration policy, and you know, for those of us who are from here, maybe it doesn't impact us as much as for folks who are new to our country. Can you talk a little bit about how this position is impacted, or why this is even more of an asset to have a new Americans Navigator?
Yeah, trying to get this segment of the population installed into our workforce is really important. This helps them not only for them, but also for us as Americans. Understanding that these people are in our community inspire us to be better workers, be better citizens, and be better community members. So it's really important. I'm really energized by these new Americans, and it's inspiring to see their hard work and see their drive to be part of our community.
That's awesome. So from your perspective, what role do new Americans play in our region's workforce?
Well, they're entrepreneurs, they're doctors, they're home health aides. There's some great employers in this community. I work with Myers Warehouse, Peckham. So there's all kinds of. They just really. There's a whole scope of workers out there, and they do it all. And so you can have people that come in with a PhD. And we evaluate his credentials so that he can become a doctor. Or if he can't find a job as a doctor, we can install him into one of our programs, and he can get a new credential and shift careers. So Capital Michigan Works is a really incredible organization. The New Americans Navigator role really provides some guidance for the new Americans and newcomers here, and it's a really impactful role also.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. So, and I know that one thing that I absolutely love about Lansing is our diversity. Right? Yeah. So in my office, I talk a little bit about that diversity is our strength. Right. And that when folks come into our office, that we treat them with respect, and that we see it as even a competitive advantage, that we right. can have just folks who not only across racial lines and gender, but just the variety of folks that we are able to interact with, and to see that we have support systems in our community to help folks from other countries that come here looking for a better life, looking to connect
Right.
with resources. It's just encouraging that you're able to do that. So
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about, so if I'm a new American, a newcomer,
Yeah.
what's my steps? What's the process? Do I just walk into the office? Do I have to call you or email you?
Then
What's the process?
We have many different ways to get in touch with me.
Okay.
You can come to our Cedar Street location, walk right through the door, and talk with the person at the front desk and say, I'd like to speak with Luke. They can also assist, they are also trained to assist new Americans also in job search and employment services. You can also give me a call. My phone number is 517-492-5505, or you can email me. And that's my email address is Schroeder, or SCHROEDER @camw.net. And those are 3 different ways you can do this. And I can accommodate people with limited English. I can work with, that's why email might be the best, because then I can kind of discern maybe what you're looking to do, whether you're trying to make an appointment or trying to get some advice or just a phone call. But I'd love to meet everyone that needs my help and try to serve them so that they can get where they need to go.
Excellent, excellent. So they can stop in, they can call, they can email you.
Yeah.
Now, do you speak any other languages?
I do.
What do you speak?
I speak French.
Ah,
Yeah.
very
And-
cool.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of background in German and Italian, and so.
Let's test it out a little bit. How
all
do
right.
you say a seat at the table in French?
Asseoir à la table, je crois. I think. It's not perfect. I haven't spoke French in a while.
That's
so.
all right. That's all right. Well, thank you. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you for everything you're doing to help new Americans literally navigate sometimes complex systems throughout the Tri-County area. I just know that this is just a much needed service, and that regardless of the dysfunction that often happens with immigration policy on the national level, the fact that we've prioritized and are looking out for folks here in Lansing, it means a lot to a lot of folks. So
It's a true
thank you.
opportunity. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Luke.
You're welcome.
And thank you for coming on and joining us for our show. I would like to thank Capital Area Michigan Works, both Edythe and Luke, for joining us today and for offering valuable insight into the work that they do to promote talent development in mid-Michigan. I would also like to thank our viewers for tuning in to this episode. My staff and I are always here to serve you, so don't hesitate to contact us with any questions, thoughts, ideas. And until next time, just remember, love Lansing.